Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa, and yes, I have company in my videos now. This is just for Halloween. I had to do something creepy. They tend to creep everyone out. I don't really know why. I think she's really beautiful since I gave her hair. They didn't look appealing at first because they didn't have hair. She still doesn't have hair, the one at the back. I just put a bandana over it. But I think they look cute. I gave them a little makeover. I use them for my special effects, and this is from their film I did. It's called The Thing in the Closet if you want to go check it out. So if you want to see that in action, go check out The Thing in the Closet, short film on my YouTube. So today we're going to be diving into a list of horror movies that I think is really cool to watch for Halloween. For today's list, we're going to be talking about the top 15 horror movies that I think is really cool to watch for Halloween. They're in no particular order, and I'm not going to give a massive description of each one because I don't want to give like a major spoiler for any of these films, so that you can just go watch it yourself so that I don't spoil the fun. First on the list we have The Conjuring. So in the Conjuring universe there is 3 films. If you're not familiar with The Conjuring yet, it basically follows the cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren. If you don't know who they are renowned paranormal investigators, demonologists, and they're really good in their field to help people get rid of scary problems like hauntings, possessions, haunted objects, artifacts, and they also have their own occult museum that they made to house all of these haunted objects. So the first Conjuring movie handled over this old farmhouse that was cursed by a witch, and the family moved in. Some scary things started happening. They enlisted the help of Ed and Lorraine Warren to help them get rid of the evil spirit because they didn't have money to move, which is generally the plot of horror movies. So if you're interested in that, definitely go check out Conjuring 1. For Conjuring 2, it basically started off with a little bit of Amityville because Ed and Lorraine actually went to Amityville. And then from Amityville, the film basically transitions into the actual case that the film is about, which is the Enfield haunting. Now, the Enfield haunting, the reason why Amityville was referenced in the film at the beginning was because Enfield there was a lot of controversy about the haunting. A lot of people called it a hoax, and they started calling it England's Amityville, which is where the whole Amityville thing came into play. But the Enfield haunting was a very interesting case. So it's basically about this family who lived in an apartment in England, and they were quite poor, so they didn't really have a lot of money. It was just like a very simple lifestyle. Then some weird things started happening. It was a really big problem. It got a lot of press, and eventually it caught the attention of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who traveled all that way to go help that family. So that is where I'm gonna leave this. And the second film actually creeped a lot of more people out than the first one. People got really freaked out in theater. Some people started saying the movie was cursed, which is an absolute hoax. But go watch it and decide for yourselves. Okay, so the third Conjuring movie is actually the newer of the lot. It actually came out not too long ago. So the third Conjuring movie handles about the haunting in Connecticut, or The Devil Made Me Do It case. So The Devil Made Me Do It case was actually not as well known until the film came out, but it was a really big case that Ed and Lorraine Warren worked on. So basically it follows this little boy who got possessed by a demon when they moved into the house via some sort of satanic curse. So then when Ed and Lorraine Warren performed the exorcism kind of went completely wrong. So the demon left the boy, but unfortunately it possessed someone else. And there was a massive court case because some people unfortunately got killed in the process. There was a massive court case, and the whole film basically handles over a court case where Ed and Lorraine Warren tried to prove the existence of the paranormal and the devil in court. So if this fascinates you, go watch that film. In my opinion, it was the scariest of the Conjuring series. In second place, we have Annabelle. So we're still in the Conjuring universe, but Annabelle, I had to give this its own category. Annabelle, basically, if you don't know what Annabelle is, because most people should know who Annabelle is. The real Annabelle is actually a Raggedy Ann doll, but in the film they portrayed her as a porcelain doll, I think. I think it's porcelain. She looks porcelain. But it's a really creepy looking doll, which in real life she's actually just a Raggedy Ann doll. But Annabelle, the whole Annabelle movie, the first one basically is where the family found the doll. A whole lot of creepy stuff happened, and the doll basically ended up in the hands of the people who eventually then contacted the wards. The second film basically is the creation of Annabelle. The film was directed by David F. Sandberg, the second Annabelle film, and David F. Sandberg is a really great director. He goes by Pony Smasher here on YouTube if you want to go look him up. The second Annabelle movie, Annabelle Creation, basically just goes about the creation of the doll, and then there was like this couple of orphans that came and lived with the creator of the doll after years since their daughter passed away, and then the demon got active and some creepy things started happening. So go check it out if that sounds interesting to you. The third Annabelle movie was called Annabelle Comes Home, which doesn't just revolve around Annabelle doll, but it also revolves around a couple of other cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren, because Annabelle, being a conduit, she tends to make other spirits a little bit more active as well, and that is what the third movie portrayed. And it also features their daughter a little bit more. Okay, so it just started raining, so if you hear the rain, thunder, we need rain. It actually fits the spooky theme. I mean, what's better to stay in and watch horror movies in rainy weather? Okay, so third on the list we have Insidious. One of the creepiest films I've ever watched. The first one was actually, in my opinion, the scariest of them all. It freaked me out quite a bit. Basically, it handles about outer-body experiences and other realms, so if that's something you're interested in, go check it out. It's creepy, it's really creepy. It's a must-watch if you love horror movies. The second Insidious movie weirdly didn't do so well, but it's where something that went wrong in the first movie continued haunting them in the second film, and now they had to face all of it all over again. But luckily they had a little bit of better luck the second time around to correct their mistakes from the first film. So the third film is basically predates the first two films, so it's basically before the first two films. The third film plays off where the psychic that was in the first two films, she basically had another case, and it was like about this girl who got into an accident, and then there was this weird demon-like creature who wanted to basically take her into the other realm to be with him as like a pet, basically. So definitely go check it out because that was really creepy. And then there was a fourth film, The Last Key, which was another one that was pretty much the creepiest one. This one handles a little bit more about the psychic, her past, her story, and what she went through in her life with her abilities, her trials that she had to face, and again it faces a lot of the demons. And then also the first three films make a lot more sense if you watch the fourth one. This is one of those films where you have to watch all of them to build the complete puzzle. Fourth on the list we have Willy's Wonderland. Now I had to put this on here. This is also a newer film. It came out this year. It stars Nicolas Cage, which is a really great actor. I love his work. But yeah, Willy's Wonderland was creepy animatronics. That's basically the best way I can explain this. Basically, if you're thinking like Five Nights at Freddy's vibes, this is what this film is. It was really creepy. Like, the main character, Nicolas Cage, actually didn't say a word throughout the entire film. Nobody really knows his story. But he's quite a badass role that he plays, so definitely go check it out, because I think creepy animatronics is my thing now, because this kind of creeped me out and I really, really liked it. Fifth on the list we have Chucky, or Child's Play. You know, some people call it Child's Play, some people call it Chucky. There's like an entire series of films revolving around Chucky. There's actually a newer one called Child's Play, which is not really about the Chucky that we know, but it's like more of a modern vibe they gave it. And it was actually a really good film, but I do like the original Chucky way more. And Chucky is just like this murderous doll. He got possessed by a serial killer, and now he's just continuing his vengeance throughout the doll. And yeah, the new one is more, like I said, it's more modern, so it's not a possession. It was basically something in the doll's coding. Someone was really mad at their boss, messed with the coding, and then the doll went evil. So if you're interested in that, definitely go check it out. Chucky is a really good classic film for Halloween. Sixth on the list we have Sinister. There's two films again, both was really scary. If you don't know what Sinister is, it's basically this film with this weird demon thing that basically comes through in like videotapes, and it basically just takes kids and murders the parents, and it's really gruesome and creepy. And actually this film did really well on a test they did. They wanted to test what horror movies was the scariest, and apparently according to the people's heart rates, and they're basically connected to a couple of machines, and according to the analytics, Sinister is one of the most scariest movies according to a majority of the population, and it was really, really, really freaky. I'm gonna admit, so like, I was quite creeped out by this film. So if you're interested in watching it, watch it, but maybe turn a light on for this one. So seventh on the list we have The Woman in Black, and again there is two films. It stars Daniel Radcliffe, who also played Harry Potter. If there's any Harry Potter fans out there, hi guys. But yeah, Woman in Black was really creepy. Again, I just feel like horror movies that involves kids just creep me out in general. I think that's what makes Sinister so creepy. But Woman in Black, again, revolves a lot around children, and then it's this evil woman's spirit who takes kids, which is very, very unsettling. So definitely go check it out if you're interested in that. If you also find kids creepy, then you know you're definitely going to be creeped out. 8th on the list we have Ouija. Again, there's two films, so I had to add this on here because, I mean, Ouija boards is like the pivotal thing that people freak out about most of the time. There's so much rumors and stories and true stories and hoaxes and things about Ouija boards and demons and possessions, and you know, the connection between it. So the Ouija movie basically is people who basically didn't follow the rules of the board, and they ended up regretting it. And the second film is actually supposed to be before the first film, because the second film was the origins of evil. It was what happened before the first people got the Ouija board. It was about the first people. The second film was actually creepier and scarier for me than the first film. The second film, like, it involves kids more, and yeah, it's really creepy. Like, basically a woman her grandma was a real psychic, but she basically just did it for money and just basically profit off something she didn't really believe in. Just to find out her daughter actually inherited the gift and is psychic, and then they got a new toy, and things just went downhill from there. So definitely go watch that if you're interested. 9th on the list we have Mama. Now I had to put this on here. This movie was really creepy. Again, kids. Most of these movies that creep me out the most involves kids. Mama is basically this really creepy figure I don't really know what she is. I don't really think she's a demon, but this spirit entity thing that basically kind of adopted these kids, and it was just really, really creepy. In 10th place we have It. Now, Stephen King, ultimate, he's the horror king. So yeah, I had to add his work on here. So you can watch the original films, but I'm assuming most of you are more familiar with the new film. Obviously the new film is scarier because they could do a little bit more with the CGI when they didn't have that back in the day. I'm still a sucker for the originals, but the new films was scarier. So it is basically about this creepy paranormal murderous clown that basically just feeds on the fear of kids, basically. And let's just say you're never gonna look at sewers the same after this film either. But the second film basically just continues where the kids in the first film is basically now grown up, and they need to face the same horrors, basically need to face the horrors of their childhood. So definitely go check it out. I'm a massive fan of Stephen King's work and definitely recommend it. It was one of his best works. And speaking of Stephen King's best works, in 11th place we have The Shining and Dr. Sleep. I wanted to add both of these in the same listing because Dr. Sleep is basically the second film of The Shining, but The Shining is a very, very old film. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what The Shining is, it basically revolves around what in the film they talked about the Overlook Hotel, but it is actually based on the Stanley Hotel. So it was a really creepy hotel. Basically this family had to go take care of the hotel during the off season where it snowed, and they would basically be trapped in the hotel with sufficient food, and they just basically 3 people, the mom, dad, and the kid in this massive hotel. Needless to say, the spirits came out to play and things got really creepy. I'm a massive fan of The Shining, definitely go check it out. So then we go into Dr. Sleep, which is the modern version. It's where the kid from The Shining basically is now a grown-up, and he still has to face the horrors of the past. And he learns a little bit more about his unique ability to see spirits and entities, and he's learning about people who wants to steal and feed off of that special ability that he has. And then in turn he helps another person with the same ability, and yeah, they basically, he goes back to the hotel, he faces horror straight on. So definitely go check it out. I really, really enjoyed the newer interpretation of the sequel from the first movie, The Shining, so it was really great. In 12th place we have Pet Sematary, another Stephen King novel. So there was an old film, I watched this one, the older film, it was really cool, and then they made a new one, and I was really, really excited when I heard they were making a new one. I was ecstatic, I just couldn't wait, and it just felt like forever for the film to come out. And then when it came out, I was really happy with it. They kind of went a little bit in a different direction, but they still basically kept the normal baseline. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Pet Sematary, basically revolves around this cursed Native American burial grounds. What's buried doesn't always stay dead, and then the moral lesson is what's dead should just stay dead. So yeah, the reason why it's called Pet Sematary is there's a massive pet cemetery near the people's house, because there's a lot of trucks on the road, so there's a lot of roadkill. And it's important for a specific reason, so just go watch the film. In 13th place, we have Rosemary's Baby. This is actually a pretty old film, but it's still actually a really good and a really popular film. Really love the concept. For those of you who didn't know, they actually made a series, but it's only a 2-part series, like a mini-series. There's only 2 episodes, both about an hour long, but I really love the modern adaptation of this way more because they were more accurate in their facts and the way they portrayed the whole thing. Still love the original, but the new one was really great, so definitely go check that out if you're interested. For those of you who aren't familiar with Rosemary's Baby, it's basically a woman who ended up giving birth to the devil's son, basically the Antichrist. So it actually ended up being a really creepy movie, but it's really interesting. And it also kind of reminds me a little bit of Devil's Due, or actually I think Devil's Due was kind of based on Rosemary's Baby. But definitely go check out Rosemary's Baby, I really recommend it. Especially the new one, if you haven't watched that already. In 14th place, we have The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Now, there's a lot of exorcism movies out there. I had to put one on the list. I chose this one for a specific reason. The film also handles a lot about a court case about a priest who was sued for negligence in an exorcism case. Then you learn about the experiences that this girl, Emily, had in her whole possession and what happened during the exorcism. Really, really interesting film. Definitely go watch. I really recommend. And then in 15th place, our final place, Paranormal Activity. So, Paranormal Activity, I think there's like 6 films. I think they're working on a 7th film. For those of you who aren't familiar with Paranormal Activity, the reason why it's so creepy is it's like cameras in the house, and that's what you're viewing the film. So it's not like a film where you like live yourself in the story. It's just like footage cameras. And because there's footage cameras, it feels real. It feels more real. And most of it is actually based on true events. There is a couple of the newer ones that they actually came forth and said not everything in it was factual, but for the majority of the Paranormal Activity series, most of it was factual, and it's really, really creepy. Just like this house that's like incredibly haunted, and people who suffer these incredible hauntings, and you just get to see all of the footage from the cameras. It's really creepy, but definitely go check it out. So that is all for this series, but I will probably make a part 2, so definitely be on the lookout for that, because I have a lot more horror movies that I want to mention, but I don't want to put too much in one video. So definitely be on the lookout for a part 2, maybe a part 3. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to our beautiful growing family. And you know, I'll put a playlist here so you can check out some more creepy films. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!